I'll now gavel the meeting to formal order. Ask that our city clerk please call the roll.
Councilman DeCiccio. Councilman Nowakowski. Councilwoman Pastor. Councilwoman Stark.
Here.
Councilman Valenzuela.
Here.
Councilman Waring. Councilwoman Williams.
Here.
Vice Mayor Gallego. Mayor Stanton.
I am here. Next on the agenda is citizen comments. Do we have citizen comments? Well, actually, first, we have an interpreter here. So, with our interpreter, Ms. Holm, please introduce yourself.
Buenas tardes, me llamo Judy, soy intérprete de español. Si alguien necesita el equipo, por favor venga conmigo o con el personal de la ciudad. Gracias.
Thank you so much. Next will be citizen comments. Citizen comments, we have two cards on it. First will be Mr. Leonard Clark, followed by Ms. Diane Barker. Mr. Clark, you have up to 3 minutes to provide comments to this council.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Leonard Clark. I'm a resident of Phoenix, born right down the street at formerly known as Good Samaritan Hospital, now Banner Health, U of A Medical Center. I'm here because I have several concerns. The first is Phoenix Community Gardens. As you know, we have a new individual who is sitting in the chief executive office right now in Washington, D.C., and right after that official, that person, won't say his name, was made our chief executive. Suddenly, the Phoenix Community Gardens, the Department of Interior says, with no reason given, they're taking back the Phoenix Community Gardens. Now, you'll say, Leonard, it's not about that. It's just a bureaucratic change. No, this is a petty act of revenge, maybe not by the so-called chief executive right now that sits in the White House, the United States of America, in Washington, D.C., but make no mistake, the mayor, who is a supporter of progressive causes and who stands up for human rights, suddenly the citizens of Phoenix are having to pay for a little petty act of retribution for our Phoenix Community Gardens being taken away. Now, I'm sure the Department of Interior will give you a good excuse, but this is no coincidence. You know, if you believe that, we've got land for you down in the bottom of the Salt River. And then I want to finish off with this, and I thank you for letting me speak. And of course, I thank my fellow veterans, because in most countries, to say what I'm saying now, I would be taken out and shot, like in Putin's Russia, where that happens, or in communist China, where they only have one political party. But I will finish this off with this. My friends and I from Lucha are looking for the governor, and I'm asking you, mayor and council members, have you seen this person? His name is Doug Ducey, dark brown hair, brown eyes, often hangs out with conservative corporate groups like ALEC, American Legislative Exchange Council. He was last seen hiding behind his desk while the legislature was sponsoring unconstitutional chief executive bills. If you have any information or complaints about his lack of leadership, please call his secretary immediately. We're all looking for the governor. So thank you very much, and thank you for the honor to speak in the greatest country in the world where I'm not yet dead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Ms. Barker.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Diane Barker, and I'm in District 7, and it's great to see our elected officials are all here. And I'd just like to say, you know, how could you not love Phoenix today? We were blessed to have some rain, and it's really beautiful outside. It's probably one of the perfect times of the year to be here. And we have so much not only to be thankful for, but activities, not only with basketball this month, in spring training, you know, outside sports. I see that our, you know, and help me with the name, you know, she's famous gymnast, and she's going to be here this month.
Simone Biles.
Thank you. And she's got a beautiful ad that's out on Van Buren over by 3rd Avenue. And so what I want to say also, this month we have Meet Me Downtown, and it's like, what do we do on Mondays? We get out. Where do we go? No matter what the weather is, nor if it's a holiday, we come downtown Phoenix, and we're asking you to get out. We walk to Hance Park, and then we all come back. Great way to meet people. We've had over 18,000 people. And this month, we're going to have the vernal equinox. What is that? That's on March 20th, so I'll leave you up to Google that. But I will get to be there, and I'm planning on reaching my goal of being there 100 times. I say, you know, I'm going to reach 100 before my 96-year-old mother. So I'm encouraging everybody to get out, even in your neighborhoods, and, you know, experience how that you can add to our community.
Thank you, Ms. Barker. There was one other card that came in on time, John Rusnick.
My name's John Rusnick. I just want to talk about the driveway next door. Here's the sheet that I got from their work order on that property. It said the site shall be clean of weeds and litter-free. Well, it's about half weeds right now. And also, they did not give the gorilla snot or some equivalent to be put on that driveway. So it would be nice to get the driveway repaired. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rusnick. I have no other cards for citizen comment, so we'll now move forward with our regular agenda. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, Mr. Deibler and Mr. Well, there's a gentleman that wants to hand it over to a third party. Well, this meeting, I believe, will not be a long one, so we'll save those cards and we'll do citizen comment at the end of today's meeting. Mr. Deibler, how long, are your comments short? Yeah. Please, okay, go ahead then.
Hello, hi, I am James Deibler. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and Council District 5. I am going to school at Arizona State University. 2 weeks last month, I find a rundown property on the internet. It is located on 67th Avenue and Hazelwood Street. Currently, this house is in terrible condition. I emailed Phoenix Councilman Donald Venturia about this rundown house. Phoenix Council District 5 staff forwarded this email to City of Phoenix Neighborhood Services to inspect this property. I used to live in this neighborhood from 1991 through 2003, so I am concerned about that property, and I hope it can be approved. Thank you for the time and consideration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deibler, very much appreciated. Now we'll move on forward with our regular agenda. Would the city clerk please read the 24-hour paragraph?
The titles of the following ordinance and resolution numbers on the agenda were available to the public at least 24 hours prior to this council meeting and therefore may be read by title or agenda item only. Ordinances numbered S 43268 through 43303, G 6280 through 6289, and resolutions numbered 21513 and 21514.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to approval of meeting minutes. Councilman Nowakowski, did you have a chance to review the formal meeting November 2nd, 2016?
Yes, Mayor, and I approve.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Councilwoman Pastor, formal meeting minutes November 30th, 2016.
Move approval.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Is there a motion on boards and commission nominations as corrected?
Motion to approve city council boards and commissions nominations as corrected.
There's a motion, there's a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. Are there citizens here to be sworn in today? There is, okay, great. So I will come down and do the swearing in. Looks like we just have a few. And then after I'm done with the swearing in, we'll have a chance to come behind the dais and have individual council members say thank you for your service. All right, so please raise your right hand. I state your name. do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of according to the best of my ability. So help me God. You're official. Thank you for your service. Gary, thank you so much. You're going to suspend the rules? No, no, you should. No, Vice Mayor will suspend the rules. So you have both items suspend the rules?
Mayor, I make a motion to suspend the rules and change the order of business to hear items 43, Vice Mayor, and item 94, northeast corner of 19th Street alignment in Glendale
There's
Avenue.
a motion to suspend the rules. Is there a second? There's a motion. There is a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes unanimously. So what's on the agenda right now is item number 43. Item number 43 is the selection of the vice mayor for the city of Phoenix. I'll turn it over to our current vice mayor for a motion.
Mayor, I nominate Councilwoman Laura Pastor to be the next Vice Mayor of the City of Phoenix.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Vice Mayor, comments?
Wonderful. It's been my privilege to serve as Vice Mayor for the last year. Thank you to my colleagues for that honor. And it is an even greater privilege to nominate Laura Pastor to be our next Vice Mayor. Laura and I were elected at the same time, and she has become a great friend. I look forward to seeing her in this new role. She has been a great leader on this council, never afraid to ask a question, never too busy to take time to check in on a colleague and see how they're doing. And she is relentless in her commitment to her constituents. She is our resident educator, an advocate for the arts, and a fierce fighter for the neighborhoods and residents in her district. So it is my pleasure to nominate Laura Pastor as the next Vice Mayor.
All right, so we do have a motion for Councilwoman Pastor as vice mayor. We have a second. I'll now turn it over to council members. Any other comments for members of the council? Certainly, I'll be supporting the motion. First off, vice mayor, you've done an outstanding job in this important leadership capacity. I want to particularly say thank you for your willingness at a moment's notice to fill in for the role of mayor in community events and speaking engagements, et cetera. You've always done an outstanding job and always made your time very available. Councilwoman Pastor, who I've had a chance to work with for many, many years, including before her time on the city council, will do an outstanding job in this position. You went over all the characteristics why I think she's the right person, and I can't wait to work even more closely with you, Councilwoman Pastor. Any other comments?
I know you have a card, Mayor, but just a really quick comment. I just want to thank Vice Mayor Gallego. You've done a great job. I think you're an excellent council member, and it's been a pleasure having you as our Vice Mayor. And great choice and great nomination in Laura Pastor. I agree. Councilman Pastor is incredibly principled, a great deal of integrity, very hardworking. She cares about her constituents in District 4 and for our city. And I absolutely, just as I supported our current Vice Mayor and Councilman Gallego, I absolutely support Councilwoman Pastor for this new role.
Mr. Leonard Clark, did you have comments on the selection of the vice mayor?
Clark, thank you for letting me speak. My name is Leonard Clark. I just want to wish all the best. I totally support this nomination, and it's not a reflection on any individual on the council, because even though I do disagree, you guys know, I will say it to you as a citizen of Phoenix, I know that you are all conscientious. So all the best, and I hope that our city will be well led. I'm sure it will, and I hope you will nominate City Council person Laura Pastor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, without any further comments by this council, roll call.
DeCiccio. Yes. Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor,
Yes.
Stark,
Yes.
Valenzuela,
Yes.
Waring, Williams,
Yes.
Gallego,
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, the motion passes on an 8-1 vote of the city council. Councilwoman Pastor, any comments?
Yes, I would like to thank Vice Mayor or Councilwoman Gallego for the nomination. Her and I have gotten to know each other as we have entered together and have learned the city together. So thank you, Councilwoman Gallego. I really like to thank for all my colleagues for supporting me, except for Councilman Waring. Now, if I recall, I think when Councilman Waring was up for vice mayor, I stood strongly behind him, and I didn't allow party politics to get in the way. But I understand. And so him and I will work very closely together, as always, since I am a collaborator. But thank you for all my colleagues for supporting me and having the confidence in me. To me, this is not only a symbolic to be vice mayor, but for the community and for a young Latina woman or girl being able to now sit as a vice mayor, I'm very proud of that and will do my due diligence and be there for the city. So thank you.
Congratulations. Any other comments? All right. It's going to be fun working with you. All right, next on the agenda, we took out of order item number 94. Item number 94 is a zoning case at the northeast corner of 19th Street, Lyman and Glendale. The reason why we took it earlier in the agenda is I believe there will be a motion for a continuance on the case, but do we have a motion on item number 94?
Motion to continue until, I think, the 21st? Is that 22nd, I'm sorry. And I'd like to have staff explain why we're looking for the continuance today.
Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, this request for a continuance came up because of some council questions regarding how the city came to acquire the parcel. I believe there are some neighbors who raised issues related to the acquisition of that parcel as part of the Squaw Peak Freeway. Staff is doing some additional research into that, and we'll have that research done in time to circulate to the neighborhoods before the council hearing comes back on the 22nd, but we need a little more time for the additional research.
Mayor, may I ask him as well, too? When you do that, there are a list of issues that the neighborhoods have brought up. And can we make sure it's not just to the neighborhood leaders, but to everybody that wants a copy, that they'll be able to get a copy? If the individuals, I assume the ones that are wearing the orange shirts are here, if they could all get a copy as well, if you could leave your name and number, or actually an email address with Alan. We've asked him to do an in-depth research on your project to find out what it is and answer the specific questions that you've had dealing with the purchase of the property, because a lot of it came down to the purchase and what was required out of that. But there were other issues that were involved in traffic and other things. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilman. So the motion is to continue. There's a second. I have 49 cards on the item. Obviously, if you want to speak on the issue of the continuance only, it's not appropriate to talk about the substantive case at this time, only about the timing, whether you want to vote today or at a later time. That's the issue that's on the table. So anyone who submitted a card that would like to address the continuance, Mr. Gary Stewart, please come forward if you want to address the continuance. Oh.
Hi, Dr. Jeffrey Zeig, Phoenix resident, 40
Good to
years.
see you, of course. You want to go first? That's fine with me.
Mr. Stranieri has been very kind. I requested this information on history on December 17th. So to be suddenly informed 1 hour before the meeting, it just doesn't seem fair. We're all assembled here and we'd like to move forward.
Okay, so that's it. Okay, appreciate it. So you'd prefer to move forward
Today? Yes.
Okay. Gary Stewart, Mr. Stewart.
May it please the council, Mayor Stanton, members of the commensal. The standard, as I understand it, for a continuance is undue prejudice. That's what it's always been in this city and in this court system. I oppose the continuance because it will unduly prejudice hundreds of us. At least 3 of the 4 speakers that are scheduled to speak today in opposition to this rezoning effort cannot be here on March the 22nd. We've also spent a great deal of time and a lot of effort to get this done today, and this specific information that the city is now requesting was in fact requested by this group 74 days ago. So it's not timely, and it's prejudicial. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stewart.
Mayor and Council, thank you. I'm Neil Haddad, 85018 with Neighborhood Coalition of Greater Phoenix. So I want to thank my councilman's office to let them know that at 2:01, 29 minutes before this meeting started, I received the email stating that a continuance was going to be requested. So I appreciate my tax dollars being spent wisely like that when everybody else had been down here already. So my message is to this group is that this is about the group. This is not about them. This is about you. You came out. That means you need to come back whenever this case comes before it again. They've had this information for a great deal of time. You followed the rules. You went to the Camelback East Village Planning Committee. You went to the Planning Commission. You've been communicating with all of the members of the City Council and the mayor. This is the way democracy is supposed to work. We need to follow up so that they understand how democracy works. Come back whenever. Keep those cards and letters coming, folks.
And Neil, if I could, I do apologize on that, because what happened was the information we were getting wasn't completed by that time. City staff did a good job of letting us know, but it just wasn't fully there, and that's what occurred there. And I apologize on that. We tried to get it out as soon as we got it, but
It just
I know
seems a little bit
it's bad.
suspect, Councilman
I agree.
DeCiccio, that we got it at 2:01.
I'm agreeing. I'm upset too that I got it.
Well,
out so late.
but here's the other thing, is that you were trying to communicate with members of this group up until yesterday afternoon. You even had your staff person call back yesterday evening to some of the members here, asking them why they did not meet with you at a 4 o'clock meeting that you requested when you called at 7:30 in the morning yesterday. So it just doesn't pass the sniff test. So whatever you say, it just doesn't pass the sniff
Well,
test.
we had a meeting set. My understanding is the meeting was set and that it was canceled. But I'm not going to get into the back and forth, but the meeting was canceled on your end. I was trying to get that meeting set up to find out if there were any additional questions, Neil.
Well, I've always tried to practice civility, but it's very, very difficult under these circumstances to hold to my past record. You have 49 people here, and the email that I saw, or the request that I saw from the Director of Planning and Development was a little over a couple hours ago. So what is this all about? What kind of information do we need suddenly to make a decision? This case just didn't pop up. It's been around for a long while. There's been a lot of comments from the neighbors. You know, this city is getting a very bad reputation as far as the neighborhoods are concerned. You're not showing them the proper respect, and it is going to harm long range this city. I don't live here anymore. So I could say, well, gee whiz, here I went all this trouble to come from out of town, but I only live in Scottsdale, so it's not that great a distance. But one of the reasons, frankly, that I'm no longer in Phoenix is because of this kind of stuff that goes on, and you need to stop it. This is too great a city to have these kind of shenanigans going on. So please consider this very carefully, and I would hope that you don't continue it. You give these neighbors a chance that came all this way. A lot of them had to miss work to testify on this case. Thank you.
Sir, please introduce yourself. I assume your card has been submitted?
Yes. My name is Paul Klusman, and I live at 1939 East Cactus Run Drive, bordering this project. And I requested this information far back as 2010. I've asked to meet with Mr. DeCiccio 4 times. We've met with their staff, but he will not meet with us over this item. So I request that you deny the continuance. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Earl, do you want to provide a statement on this? No, I was talking to the next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Taylor Earl, for the record, 3101 North Central Avenue in Phoenix. I represent the property owner. We are supportive of the continuance in order to make sure that the decision makers have the appropriate information. We understand that it's discouraging, but I think it's important that a lot has gone into this case and a lot from our side as well in terms of our work and meeting with the neighbors and all the hearings. And so we want to make sure that there's a proper hearing in which all the information is available and is had. And if an additional time is needed in order to make sure that information is available, we think that's appropriate. And so we would be supportive of the continuance.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. If the continuance goes down, are you prepared to make your substantive case today?
Well, Mayor, we did have supporters that were going to come to this that we have told not to come because we received also a notice that this would be continued. And so,
okay.
And so that's one of the reasons, those supporters that wish to provide testimony on this matter, we have told that in light of the case would be continued.
Okay. I appreciate it. Any other questions for Mr. Earl? Okay. So the request has been to continue this case. There has been a second, obviously a lot of frustration expressed from folks in the neighborhood about whether or not we should go ahead and hear this. Many of them cannot make the next meeting, leaders in the community as a result. Stand ready to hear the case if we want to, but it's up to the members of this council about whether or not we want to continue it or hear the case today. Do you want to still second it?
Mayor?
Councilman, please.
Oh, from my end, I do apologize. It was last-minute notice. I'm sorry. He knew at the same time as everybody else. We got the notice from Alan, I don't remember, 1:30 or something like that. I can't even remember. We were in a meeting, and when we sent it out, it was sloppy. It should not have been done that way. I apologize right off the bat. It's as much my fault as it is anyone else's, because I don't believe that the information was complete that we needed to have to make sure that you got all the information at the same time. Everybody gets it at the same time. I do apologize for that. It does look bad. I'm not going to sit here and say that it doesn't. And the fact that you drove all the way down here, you took time out of your day to make this meeting, I apologize, but the information is not all together there. And until the questions are answered, until it's thorough, I don't want to have that information out there until it's all done. It's completely done. And the meeting we were going to have yesterday, was going to be along the lines of trying to see if there was anything else we needed to have out there. Anything else that you want questions from?
Mr. Haddad, you want to come forward, please?
Put on the phone. We had a meeting at 4 o'clock. You guys canceled, Neil. Neil, do you have to be so rude? I'm trying to tell you, I'm accepting responsibility, okay? I'm sitting here taking it. All right, take it. That's it, Mayor.
Okay, so there has been a request for a continuance. There is a second on the item. I believe we should hear the item today. We have the audience here. I think we're prepared substantively to hear the case. But it'll be up to this council to decide whether they want to continue it or go ahead and hear the case, the substantive matter here today. I think under the circumstances, we got to do a roll call because we have to decide. So the motion is for a continuance. That was the second. Roll call.
DeCiccio. Nowakowski. Pastor. Stark.
Yes.
Valenzuela.
I want to explain my vote. I will be voting yes on the continuance. It's not in the council district that I represent, but I care about our community. It's never a good idea to look out in the crowd. You see these orange shirts and people who came out for this. what Mr. Earl, who I think is working in good faith for what it's worth, is saying that several others have been told to not show up, who also want to be heard. Just for the sake of fairness, you know, I think it's, I'm supportive of the continuance. I believe it's March 22nd. And so it gives everyone an opportunity to be here, to be heard, and see where things go from that point. So I am going to support the continuance.
Waring. Williams. Gallego.
No.
Mayor Stanton.
No, so the motion to continue passes on a 7-2 vote before this city council. The substantive hearing will be on March 22nd, so hopefully you have a chance to attend. If not, please let us know. In the meantime, your thoughts, feelings, and concerns about the case. We'll let people leave our...
Mr. Mayor, may I...
Oh, Mr. Stewart, please, of course.
May I request that the cards that we've submitted here be counted today and made a record and become a part of the record of the motion to continue, because our speakers cannot be here on the date that the city planners apparently have requested this. So this is where the due prejudice comes in, and we'll have recourse for that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. So there's 49 cards that are in opposition to the case. We'll submit them for the record so that those names get included in the record.
Mayor, may I ask a quick question too? Didn't even think about it. If the 22nd doesn't work, I know we don't have anything any sooner than that. Would a later date work? I mean, you tell me, and I can reconsider and make it to a later date if that's what the council, I mean, I'm sorry.
It's about respecting your citizens who are here right now.
So the later date does not work?
It's not about the date.
Okay.
It's about who's here now.
Okay.
Sir, if you don't have an opinion, you got to come up to the microphone only so we capture for the record. If you want to make a statement, you may more than feel free to come forward. Okay.
Thanks for your disrespect.
All right, any other questions? Okay, so the date right now is March 22nd here at City Council Chambers. All right, so I'll give a chance if folks wearing the orange shirts. Sir, did you have a question, please?
Yes, I do.
Okay, do you want to come forward to the microphone? You got to come forward to the microphone so we can appropriately. And, all right.
My name is Dave Topolsky. I'm a resident in the area. I'm concerned or question, what is the additional information that wasn't available that has us having to have this continuance?
Councilman DeCiccio, you want to respond to that? You requested the continuance.
The history of the property, I can have Alan explain it better because we had a long conversation about it because I didn't think the information was complete that would answer all the questions that the neighbors wanted.
Did you want Mr. Stevenson to provide that information now?
Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, there have been discussions since December. Some neighbors did raise issues. There has been some back and forth with staff providing some information about the bond proposition language, what the Squaw Peak Freeway specific plan says and means, what the council adoption was related to the minutes, the Planning Commission minutes back then. Since that time, however, there were new questions that came up. Councilman DeCiccio's office asked on Friday to get a memo to clear up all of this information because there was information being presented by some folks in the neighborhood, so that he wanted us to do additional research. And so that's when staff started working on that information. However, because some of it's old and going back and looking through a number of those things, staff has not had time to complete all of that research.
And Mayor, I wanted it all, if I could, I want it all in writing so that the neighbors could look at it in writing and respond to that.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything else, Councilman? Sir, did you have additional comment, please?
On December 17th, I requested this historical information from Mr. Stranieri's office. If it couldn't be produced between December 17th and today, then suddenly at the last minute trying to postpone this is not fair. We have asked Mr. Stranieri over Christmas time if he could postpone for us when staff was making their recommendations, that didn't happen. But when Mr. Earl and other people ask for a continuance, then that continuance happens, but it doesn't happen on behalf of the residents of the area. So I think that the situation is really bogus. And I won't be available on March 22nd, so I would appreciate if the time were pushed forward because 3 of the speakers cannot be available on March 22nd.
Okay, we've already voted on that, and so the hearing will be on March 22nd. Okay, are there any other? Okay, so that item is finished, and I want to give the people, unless you want to stay for the remainder of the meeting, you're more than welcome to. But otherwise, I'll take about a 1-minute break here for folks to leave.
Thank you. Now we will move to the liquor license applications portion of our agenda. I move approval of items 4 through 25, except item 8.
Second.
All of the cards we have for these items are marked in favor. We have several in support, but not wishing to speak. With that, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Next, we'll move to item 8. Item 8 is a liquor license in Councilwoman Pastor's district. Councilwoman, do you have a motion? Or Vice Mayor Pastor, do you have a motion?
I do. My motion, I move for a no recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion for no recommendation. Roll call.
DeCiccio. Nowakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Passes 7-1. Thank you. We next move to item number 26, a liquor license in District 7. Councilman Nowakowski, do you have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to continue this item till March 22nd.
Second.
Excellent. We have a motion to continue. We have 2 cards, one from our police department and one from Nancy Vasquez, marked in favor but not wishing to speak. Would either of you like to speak on the motion to continue? All right. With that, can we have a voice vote? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. City Clerk, are we ready for the ordinance resolutions, new business, and planning and zoning?
Yes, Vice Mayor.
I move approval of items 27 through 98, except the following. Items 41, 49, 64, 95 through 98. Item 94 has already been continued. Item 50 has been withdrawn, and excluding these items for public comment. Item 39, 43, 64. And 43 will be continued. Oh, 43 has already been continued. I'm sorry, 43 was the election of Councilwoman Pastor. Would anyone like me to read that again, or is it, all right? Do we have a second on the motion?
Second.
All right. Roll call.
DeCiccio. Noakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego. Mayor Stanton.
Yes. Our next item on the agenda is item number 39. Oh, 27, I apologize. Item 27 is next item on the agenda. Vice Mayor, do you have a motion?
Motion to approve item 20, I'm sorry. Is it,
It wasn't.
it is 39? Motion to approve item 39.
All right, motion and a
Second.
second. I just want to point out that after a year of service, I was finally right and Vice Mayor Gallego was finally wrong. It's not happened in her year of service as Vice Mayor.
I'm so glad that Councilwoman Pastor is taking over. I'm ready for her leadership.
Leonard Clark, number 39.
Thank you, Mayor and Council members. My name is Leonard Clark. Obviously, I'm neutral on this item because it involves CenturyLink, the corporation CenturyLink. You know, I know you have to pay them, and I know that you might say it's not apropos, but I believe it is. A corporation and how it behaves in our community where we live in the city of Phoenix is very important. You might or might not know, City Council, before you consider voting for the CenturyLink Corporation, that they are in the Arizona Tax Research Association, okay? They are on record, according to the Arizona Republic, as taking away desegregation funding from our public schools, around 200, it could be hundreds of millions of dollars, and thereby gutting school districts like Roosevelt Elementary School District, Phoenix Union High School District. CenturyLink is a corporation without morals or conscience. They are right now actively at the Arizona legislature pushing Senator Debbie Lesko's bill, and maybe it's dead, I hope it is, the bill, Senate Bill 1174, that would effectively destroy our public schools because of something that doesn't need to be done right away. So CenturyLink, I ask you to please consider, before you consider voting for this unconscionable corporation, and yes, CenturyLink, come after me, take a number. I'm a peasant now. I'm one of the great American group of people. You have no conscience, and City Council, I know you will have to vote for it because you have to pay them now, but in the future, I ask you do no business with CenturyLink Corporation, which is going to help destroy our public school system in Arizona because they back Debbie Lesko's desegregation funding bill, which will kill our public schools. And as we all know, they hate our public school system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have a motion on do we have a motion on the table? Motion and a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio. Noakowski. Pastor. Stark. Valenzuela.
No.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, the item passes on a 6-3 vote of City Council.
Mayor,
Oh,
I apologize. It's a 7-2. I am supportive of this.
okay, so Councilman Valenzuela is supportive, so the vote will be 7-2 before this City Council. Next item on the agenda is 41.
Motion to approve item 41, National Association of City Transportation Officials for membership dues.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions by members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Noakowski. Pastor. Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. 7-2, I think? 6-3, I apologize. Okay, next item on the agenda is item number 49.
Move approval of item 49, 50th Street Light Rail Station.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any comments by members of the council? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Noakowski. Pastor. Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that passes 7-2. Next item on the agenda, 64.
Move approval of item 64.
We have a motion. Oh, I'm sorry.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilman Valenzuela, do you want to hold out one item on that, on 64? You have a chance to look it up?
I do. At the subcommittee, I supported the approval of 64 with the exception of the, it is only this.
Yeah.
Yes. So then, at the subcommittee level, well, let me back up then. At the subcommittee level, this was part of a larger motion that had several properties, and I was supportive of the entire motion with the exception of this particular property, which is now item 64. It is an excellent partner with a great mission in a community that I truly care about, the community I represent in District 5. And I feel that based on much of the outreach that we received, I believe probably all of us received on this council, but certainly our office received, in opposition, I feel like it would be best to hold this one out, not approve this one, allow this particular organization to continue to work to create those relationships in the community, win the support of the community, just as all of the others have. And I will stay consistent here at the formal council meeting as well. So for item 64, I will not be supporting this.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilman. So the motion is in favor of 64, and so was the second. Councilman Valenzuela indicated he is not consistent with his vote at the subcommittee, not supportive of 64, but I want to make sure I have a few cards here on item 64 that the motion on the table is in support of item number 64. With that, in support of the item, wishing to speak, Steve Kopobras. I apologize, I butchered your last name, darn it. Great to see you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Steve Kopobras, Catholic Charities in Phoenix, Arizona. First of all, let me thank the council for the many years of support you've given us to develop good projects. I think all of you have been involved in one form or fashion of a deal that we've been working on, so I think you all know the extent that we try to reach out to the neighborhoods and do projects that are of value to the neighborhood. In this particular case, we are trying to redevelop an office building that we have owned for 60 years. So we've had a presence in this neighborhood. This neighborhood knows us. And we have had numerous occasions to meet with them, to work with them on their issues, and we have done as much as we can, I believe, except for two things. First is height. It's 4 stories, and that's allowed within the current zoning. Part of why we need 4 stories is the current zoning is also making us put 104 parking spaces for 64 housing units. And this is right next to a light rail station. So we have agreed to do that. There's not much I can do to change the height. And again, we have preliminary site approval for that design. The second issue that I don't believe I can solve is the fact that this is low-income housing. That's what we do. That is our mission. We develop low-income housing. We are not going to develop luxury apartments on this site. So no matter what I do, I cannot appease the neighborhood that this is low-income people that will be living there. What I've tried to tell the neighborhood is you would much rather have an owner like Catholic Charities that works with these tenants and makes them good residents and helps them become permanent in their lives. I think we have a good track record of doing that. And again, I'm concerned that this sets a bad precedent, especially along 19th Avenue, that it's okay to develop on the west side of 19th Avenue, the east side of 19th Avenue, it's not okay. And again, I did not go searching for a property. We own this property, and we are trying to accomplish our mission. So thank you.
Thank you very much. We have some additional cards. Shannon McBride, you're marked as neutral on the case. Did you wish to provide testimony before this council? Great to see you. Please come forward. Either one.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here in front of you.
I think what I want to share is more perspective than a position. I've had the opportunity to sit in on some of the meetings about this project. And I think what I've observed with our community is really a reaction to what feels like is being imposed. And I think it's more about the process than the project. I really do. And what I'd love to have happen in 19 North, which is the area that I live in and help to lead and organize a community collaboration, is that we would have more conversations about what is coming into 19 North, what is planned, what is it going to look like, getting the community involved in discussions about the look, the feel, their concerns, and also educating us of what is affordable housing, what does a good project look like, what are some of the things that we want it to look like, feel like, how do we really evaluate one project against another. Right now, I think it's fear that we're primarily hearing, which turns into anger. And so that's the response that's coming toward this project and others. So I would suggest a modification of a process that would really be looking at long-term for that area. I think we're going to see more and more affordable housing projects come in that area. That's what let's plan for. Where as a community, we're having access to the information. We're talking about what it's going to look like, feel like. We're getting a sense of what is a good project versus not a good project so that we have a voice in it and it becomes our project as a community and it becomes adopted as part of who we are. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. McBride. Next speaker is James Deibler. Did you wish to provide testimony on this item?
Hello, hi, I'm James Deibler. I support this project because it will benefit the community very well. The developers and the neighbors need to work out something that the project will move forward with some restrictions. And the project will bring a lot of jobs on 19th Avenue. Thanks for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deibler. I appreciate that. Dee Yazzie Divine, in favor of the project. Great to see you.
Hi, my name is Diana Yazzie Divine. People know me as Dee Dee. And I just wanted to speak in support of Catholic Charities and Foundation for Senior Living. They've been in our community a very long time. They probably build the best, highest quality affordable housing in our community. And I also have concerns that they've owned the property for 60 years, so they've been a neighbor much longer than probably a lot of the people in the neighborhood, and that they have that property for a long time. I also have concerns about a property that's so close to light rail that has all the housing requirements, which make them go to 4 stories, which is one of the oppositions of the neighborhood. So they're kind of in a catch-22 situation. A property near the light rail should have much less parking requirements. That would allow them to be more cost-effective and build us, not such a high property. And I just hope you take all those things into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Diana, I'm so used to calling you Dee Dee, but Diana, got to get that right. All right. Councilman Valenzuela?
Yeah, I just want to clarify my position on this. And this is important for me to convey, especially to Catholic Charities. It's an excellent organization with a very powerful mission in a community that I care very much about. 4 years ago, or about 4 years ago, I sat on this council and I approved the affordable housing community priorities. I stand by that vote from 4 years ago. I helped to move light rail to expedite light rail on 19th Avenue North with the understanding that it would bring more multi-housing. I certainly don't oppose those things. I stand by those things. I stood by them as we led the effort to expedite light rail. I certainly stood by those things in very, very tough times during construction of the light rail project, and I still stand by those things as we are constantly going out, speaking with business leaders, small and large, most importantly, speaking to people who live in the community. My concern with this particular project, and this is a snapshot, my concern is the number. This is just a very quick snapshot of email that we've received, but phone calls talking to neighbors while I'm out in the community about feeling like that this is something that they're not even getting communication on. And so my support, and you can roll your eyes, sir, if you'd like. Or you can get out there and talk to these neighbors, which is something that I have to do every single day. So what I would ask you to do is talk to these neighbors. What I supported in the subcommittee a few weeks ago is to allow your organization a little more time to go and meet with these neighbors, to talk with these neighbors, which is important for all of us. Public input is not a box that we simply check. We should be governing based on public input. And as I mentioned before, and I'll say it again, Catholic Charities is an incredible organization with a powerful mission, and it works best when the work is being done up front. We're bringing people together, and we get to a point where we can actually support something. Now, I don't know where the votes will lie, but I have to be true to the people that I represent in this particular community, and I have to stay consistent with my previous vote at the subcommittee, and so I can't support it, unfortunately, not this time.
Mayor?
Councilman is finished. Councilwoman Stark, do you have a comment? And I know Councilwoman Pastor had a few questions as well. Councilwoman Stark.
Thank you. I received over 200 emails and phone calls about this as well. And I had a chance to talk to the Royal Palm Neighborhood Council president last night. And she said there were 2 neighborhood meetings held, and she'll admit that some of the neighbors were very negative, but she wanted to converse. She wanted to talk about the design. She wanted to have meaningful discussion. And she pointed out there were a couple other developments in the area. I think one is El Caro, and they spent a lot of time working with the neighborhood to address the issues. So she's trying to get back and focus in, can you work with us? It's a big neighborhood. It's a big neighborhood. It's both in District 3 and District 5. And that's the concern I have, is that we're here continuing zoning cases because we need to work with the neighborhood and get better answers. If we're going to allocate money, we better make sure it's a good design and that the neighborhood's buying in. And so I support Danny. I think we should recommend denial at this time. They can come back after they met with the neighborhood, and we can revisit.
All right, thank you very much. Councilwoman Pastor?
Yeah, I have several questions. So I'm going to ask staff to explain to me the whole process of, is it LIHTC? And explain to me what the process of LIHTC and what the likelihood of how many times projects have to go in front of LIHTC.
All right, Ms. Janovich or Ms. Stotler?
Mayor, members of the council, in regards to the low-income housing tax credit program, I'll defer to Cindy, but what typically occurs is projects come to the city for the gap financing that's necessary for the LIHTC program. The city then determines those projects that are feasible to move forward. The projects that are feasible to move forward go to the state. The state then, in essence, has to go through their own review process and determine which projects as an entire state they're going to fund through the low-income housing tax credit program. So it will still have to go through a state review process. Based on our projects we move forward, we'll go through a state process to determine which, in fact, the state will fund through the tax credit program.
Mayor? So the council have more questions?
So there's still other processes. My question is that the Shen Council voted no on this. And I'm a little confused as to why we have councils, and there's processes that we go through, and it was unanimously, as I understand in my report, that it was a 3-0. I guess what I'm asking is, why is it now sitting in front of us if a council has disapproved it?
Mayor,
Andrew.
Yes, Mayor, I can address that question. The city council does not have rules set up by which subcommittees on themselves pass or kill things, or deny things. They're a recommending body to the council. So the practice is that the subcommittee recommendation comes forward to the council, but it is in fact the full council that has to make decisions on taking action such as this. So it was brought forward with the recommendation of denial from the subcommittee, and the full council needs to take that action. In some cases, subcommittees send things back for more work. Eventually that they come back, but that's the practice in terms of action on items.
Okay, so there have been several things, or I know of one particular item in my committee that got denied and never made it up to the council. So there needs to be definitely clarity on our practices. And there is no clarity. And so this is, to me, this is a very important piece in the sense that a whole council voted 3-0. And it's very clear that the council has some concerns with this project. I guess my next question is, could it have been not only just denied, but could it have, or not denied, could it have been like, we're not ready, we want to continue this, and there needed to be more dialogue instead of disapproval? I don't know. I mean, that needs to be.
Certainly, Mayor, Councilman Pastor, certainly the subcommittees can make recommendations for approving, denying, or continuing, and that could have happened in this case. I wasn't at the subcommittee, so I don't know how that exactly happened. But I believe in this case, a continuance would have had the same effect because the credit applications are due, but I'll look to our housing director, Ms. Stotler, to clarify that timing.
Mayor and members of the council, our call for interest for home and community development block grant funds, which this is the call for interest that is timed every year to occur right before the Arizona Department of Housing's qualified application process for low-income housing tax credits. So we're all on a timeline. The low-income housing tax credit applications are due today. So your vote today will provide points and funding for this project, or won't for the low-income housing tax credit. So should you approve this project, it will receive 5 points and gap funding from the city, and they can go and apply for low-income housing tax credits. Should you not approve it, they can still go apply for low-income housing tax credits. They will have to find other gap funding and have a backup plan for the other gap funding, and then also they'll lose 5 points.
Okay, so this is just for more clarity.
Please.
In this whole process. Why is it that we waited till February 21st for this and putting a nonprofit in this particular situation when we could have possibly backed this out maybe to January? Because if there's an issue, there is time to work on the issue and not be placed in this situation of a yes or no, and putting people, the community, plus the nonprofit, in a very awkward situation when there should be time given to solve the problem or resolve the problem or issue. So I'm not really sure why we operate in these timelines, because this is not the only item that has ever been in front of us like this, and we continue to operate that way.
All right, Mr. Manager, Ms. Stotler, Ms. Yanovich, who wants to answer that one, please? Ms.
Mayor,
Stotler.
and members of the council, the timing is very carefully worked through with the applicants. We have meetings with the applicants in the fall, and the low-income housing tax credit applications are very complex, and they have to find a lot of funding. They have to get zoning approval, site plan approval. There's a lot of work behind these processes, so they require a significant amount of time to get their application together and into us. So we work with them on the timing of when they're ready to submit those applications to us, and then we have to have our call for interest out for at least 6 to 8 weeks. And then it's usually over the Christmas holiday, so it takes a while to get those applications in. So the timing just unfortunately works out that it's very close. This year, it happened to be closer than we would appreciate because I think there was a formal meeting originally scheduled between 221 subcommittee and today, but that meeting got canceled sometime in the middle of our process. So we had to kind of scramble to even have this vote on the day that it's due and work with the Arizona Department of Housing. So just unfortunate close timing this year. We hadn't planned on that originally. We had planned on having 2 council meetings available before the final vote.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mayor, Councilman, please.
Yeah, just a couple things on process. The fact that it was a 3-0, I was always told, and I could be wrong, but now that I know that there's a difference here, that when it gets denied at subcommittee, it does not go to the full council. I've always been told that from day one. So now I'm being told that even if it's denied at subcommittee, it still goes to the full council. I'm okay with that as long as I understand that to be the rule. Is that the rule? I mean, my understanding was that it goes to full council when there's a tie or it passes, and not on a 3-0 or a denial. What is the rule?
All right, Mr. City Manager or City Attorney, do we have a City Council rule in that regard?
Mayor, Councilman DeCiccio, I think the issue is there is not a specific rule.
Okay.
And so.
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
As long as they all would be treated the same.
The issue, as I have understood in the past, is that well, this is not, the full council is the body that makes decisions here. Subcommittees make recommendations, but it is all 9 of you, or the quorum, that has to make the decision. And so we don't have a rule that says subcommittees can pocket veto items. It is the right of the full council to hear an item.
So under all circumstances, every item that goes to subcommittee will be voted on the council, correct?
That is the intention.
Well, I mean, it either is or it isn't. I mean, that's a
Yes.
simple thing. Okay, so let's make sure on every item that subcommittees hear, the full council votes on. I didn't know that, even if it got turned down. I've always thought.
Subcommittees take an action, yes, Mayor, Councilman
Okay.
DeCiccio.
I'm
It doesn't
totally
even
good
come
with
to council.
that.
There are a couple of exceptions. For example, Councilman Pastor's subcommittee, I think, is delegated as an acting body on Head Start. That would be an exception.
Okay, but that's a good thing. No, I'm not done. So I've got one last question. Dealing with process, a lot of the affordable housing stuff got changed at the state. Could you explain some of the things that the state made changes on? You know, I was involved in that last year on when it came to affordable housing. A lot of it had to do with that expensive apartment complex we were building here. Now, I'm going to be supportive of Councilman Valenzuela's motion on this. This is his district. And I love Catholic Charities. You guys are fantastic, but it is his district. And we do have a sense of respect for the people in that district. But if you could walk us through some of the changes that occurred at the state with affordable housing, on the limitations and all that stuff.
So Mayor and members of the council, I don't have a complete comprehensive list in front of me of the changes that were made to the qualified application process. I do know several things that affected the City of Phoenix applications directly, which is requiring any municipality or public housing authority to have a co-developer on the application. Also, trying to
The self-selection as well.
have a co-developer.
Right. That we can't self-select, but other than 2 projects per year in the entire state.
2 projects that are PHAs, or public housing authorities. Only 2 projects are allowed per year in the process as well.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. I want to make sure that people knew that there
Thank you very
were
much.
major changes that were made.
Ms. Sheila Harris, former State Housing Director, is here and wanted to provide some polite clarification. Please come forward, Ms. Harris.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council members. I just wanted to reiterate the process that Ms. Stotler outlined. This is a very challenging process. There's a time-limited area in which everybody can work and work together. Tax credits can only fund approximately 75% of any development, so everyone who submits for a tax credit development must have matching funds. And with the state establishing March 1st as their deadline for when applications are due, everything gets backed up from there. So it is a challenge. I know I've worked through this process many years from several different angles. My sympathies to Catholic Charities, but I do understand and support Councilman Valenzuela's position, because one of the most critical elements to success is neighborhood support, and this being a part of our greater community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Harris. All right, are there any other comments by members of this council? Councilman Waring, please.
Thank you. So first, I guess just, this is pretty close to light rail, and I'm against light rail, but once you build it, you got to maximize the use of it. You can't put single-family homes and so forth. You got to have a lot of people close by it, either working or living. So to forego an opportunity like that, for those of you who do support light rail, that puts me in a little quandary, because I do think if we're going to have it and it's there, then maybe we should be maximizing the opportunity, which we would be, I guess, taking a pass on in this case. I do have a question related, I guess, to what Dr. Harris said and what's been alluded to earlier. So if we either turn this down, or I guess we could continue it or something today, then the money is lost? We're foregoing the money, basically. Today is the day.
Ms. Stotler.
Yes, Mayor and members of the council, the application is due today to the Arizona Department of Housing. So should we continue it today, or should it be disapproved, this project will not have the funding from the city of Phoenix to go forward, and they will not have the points in their application process.
For this year,
For this year.
to clarify.
Yes.
So, Mayor Cindy, so do we get other monies for some other project, or it just goes to some other part of the state, or?
We never get our fair share, but that being said.
Are we going to get less of our fair share this time because we're making this vote?
So mayors, members of the council, our funding is contingent. We are pledging funding or committing funding to those projects that win low-income housing tax credits. So 8 of the 11 projects that came in for this year's process are seeking low-income housing tax credits. Generally, 2 or 3 of those projects per year are awarded in Phoenix for low-income housing tax credits. So we're assuming we'll get 2 or 3 of the 8.
Of the list?
Yes.
And
So this is not going to be 2 or 3 of one less than 8?
Yes, so 2 or 3 of the 7 should this not be approved.
And for clarification purposes, they're not asking for zoning. It's already, regardless of light rail, it's already zoned. The site plan meets the city specific. This is a financing measure. It's not a zoning measure that we're being asked to
Yes.
vote on here today.
And so to what the mayor said, if they had the money, they could just go build this today. They don't need to ask permission from us.
That is correct, Mayor and members of the council, yes.
Thank you.
The only issue is whether or not we would send a letter that indicating that if selected for tax credits, we would likely utilize home funds or some city funds for helping to finance the project. Other comments, questions? Councilman Williams, please.
Cindy, where's the money come from in the first place?
These, Mayor and members of the council, the call for interest is for federal home and community development block grant funds. So the money comes from the federal
The city of Phoenix
government.
has received in a large chunk, I take it, and then you allocate it?
Yes, those are pass-through funds. We get those funds through an entitlement grant every year, and then we pass it through our call for interest.
Okay, and if the projects are disapproved or do not qualify, what happens to that money? Does it just sit there for another year? Can you expand it? What happens?
Yes, Mayor and members of the council, the money will either be reallocated to other projects. Sometimes we do a mid-year call for interest if we need to meet funding deadlines. So all federal funds come with spending deadlines. So if we don't meet those spending deadlines, we have to do a mid-year call for interest. So should, say, none of these projects this year that we fund get any LIHTC awards, and I have some spending requirements from the federal government, we'll have a mid-year process to try to expend those funds in other ways.
But it doesn't go through the same process for qualification for tax credits?
No,
Is
the
that what
mid-year
you're saying?
process would be for other projects like rehabilitation or acquisition or something that didn't require low-income housing tax credits.
Thank you.
So we don't lose the money.
Correct. We do everything we
It gets
can not to lose the
reallocated,
money.
yes. Okay. So I think that's what one of the questions was. Do we return the money? And what ends up happening is it gets reallocated to different projects. Thank you.
Our money has to go to Phoenix, that's correct, yeah. All right, any other comments or questions on this item? Okay, so the motion was in favor of the affordable housing funds for Laurel Tree at Northern. There was a second on that item.
That was to turn it down.
The opposite. The motion was in favor. And so there was a second on that motion. So that is the motion that's on the table. If people don't want to support it, they vote no on this, and I guess there would be no letter of support. So a yes vote is in favor of Laurel Tree. A no vote would say the city does not send the letter regarding the home funds to the state housing department. Question. Laura, Councilman Pastor, please. New Vice Mayor.
I have another question. If it's unsuccessful, my understanding with LIHTC and all these projects is that if unsuccessful, then every year they're able to reapply. Okay.
Okay.
Could we have
Councilman Nowakowski, please.
Just some clarification. So we're not talking about planning and zoning. If Catholic Charities want to go ahead and build a 4-story apartment complex, condos, they can do that, right?
In this case, both planning and zoning as well as the site plan are according to city rules and regulations.
And what we're voting on is just the funding that they're looking for at the state level, about $2 million, or from the Federal Community Development Block Grant. So it's not guaranteed that money's coming back to the city of Phoenix. It's throughout the whole state that people bid for that, and the best project actually wins it, right? So basically, the $2 million isn't allocated for a project within the city of Phoenix. Is that right or wrong?
Mayor, Councilman Nowakowski, I just want to clarify, because we're talking about, I think we've been talking about two different kinds of money. The low-income housing tax credit funds are allocated by the state, and they go where the State Department of Housing says they will. The funds we're talking about, that Cindy described, home and CDBG, those are controlled by the council. They stay within the city of Phoenix, and so they would not be lost to this council. They would be available to do something else with, as Ms. Stotler said, perhaps in mid-year if we needed to.
And we've had years where Phoenix projects we've gotten zero state tax credits for Phoenix projects, so we utilized home funds for other purposes during those years, yeah. And know that the best projects don't always win, because we have the best projects and we don't always win, unfortunately.
I agree.
Any other comments or questions? Former Vice Mayor.
How quickly we fall. Do some jurisdictions try to influence if they feel like 2 of these projects are better than the others and just select a subset to say we think these are the best of many great projects? I mean, could we just select the people we thought had the best of good projects?
Mayor and members of the council, I really can't answer other than I only know the city of Tucson approves all projects that come in front of them. So they support every project, knowing that the Arizona Department of Housing awards 5 points on the qualified application process, and it serves their mission as it serves our mission to increase the number of affordable housing in our city.
And did we forwarded every project that applied in Phoenix?
This year, yes, we did.
But some years we do not.
If we have the funding, we support every project that comes in.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other comments or questions? So the motion on the table is to support the home fund letter to the state housing office on behalf of Laurel Tree. That there's a motion. There is a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yeah.
Nowakowski. Pastor.
No.
Stark.
No.
Valenzuela. Waring. Williams.
No.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes. So the motion fails on a 6-3 vote. All right, so again, the motion to support failed on a 6-3 vote. Okay, now we'll move forward to the rest of our agenda here on the City Council. Next item on the agenda is item number 90. Oh, we're on a planning and zoning now. So 95 is a planning and zoning agenda. These are items that are subject to a public hearing. Item number 95 is the Downtown Code Warehouse Height and Density Text Amendment. We'll start out this item with a short staff report, then we'll hold a public hearing, then we'll see if there is a motion by the council member for the area, which is in Council District 7, and then if there is a second, we'll hold a roll call vote. With that, on item 95, Mr. Stevenson, our planning director, do you have a report on the Downtown Code Warehouse Height and Density Text Amendment?
Mayor, members of council, yes. Item 95 is a request in Council District 8. It is for an expansion of the Downtown Code Warehouse District for height and density. This request was approved by the Downtown Aviation Economy and Innovation Subcommittee, and the intent of this text amendment is to address the need for some greater height and density within the warehouse character area, as well as addressing a setback and step-back requirements. So the request will allow a particular parcel to be have height that goes from 40 feet maximum now up to 80 feet and up to 140 feet with bonus of a preservation overlay for a historic warehouse, and also allow unlimited density. The Central City Village Planning Committee approved this request by a 12-3-1 vote. One member declared a conflict. The Planning Commission approved it, and it was recommended for approval by the subcommittee. You see up on the screen here this area outlined. Sorry, apologize, the pointer's not working here, but the area outlined in black is the expansion area. That area was, the downtown code was expanded back when the downtown plan or downtown code was adopted. The warehouse area was expanded to include that. What did not happen, that should have happened at that time, was the height allowances that went with the warehouse character area should have went to that property, which is the Bentley Galleries property. It did not. This fixes that, and along with their preservation easement that they have on their property to preserve the gallery, if they record additional time related to that preservation, they could get up to 140 feet of height on the other parts of the parcel. With that, I'd be happy to answer any question.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Stevenson. I think I'll hold the public hearing now, and then council members can ask any questions when they have their opportunity to speak. So the public hearing on item number 95 is now open. Are there any cards on item number 95? There are no cards on 95. Is anyone here in the audience wishing to speak on item number 95, Downtown Code Warehouse Height and Density Text Amendment? Going once. Go. Oh, Mr. Deibler, please come forward.
Hello, hi, I'm James Deibler. I am going to school at Arizona State University at downtown Phoenix campus. The rezoning of the warehouse district will help to bring new businesses into the area, including new computer firms and other uses that will benefit the community. Thanks for the time and consideration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deibler. Anyone else wishing to provide testimony on this item? Going once, going twice. The public hearing is now closed. I'll now turn it to Councilman Nowakowski. Do you have a motion on item 95?
Motion to approve staff's recommendation?
And would you like to adopt the related ordinance?
Absolutely.
The motion is to support staff recommendation based upon the Planning Commission's approval on January 5th, 2017, and adopting the related ordinance. There is a second. Any comments or questions by members of this city council? Roll call.
DeCiccio. Yes. Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor. Stark. Valenzuela. Waring.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is item number 96, expansion of Downtown Code, Van Buren Character Text Amendment. Mr. Stevenson, is there a staff report?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Item 96 and 97 can be heard together. 96 is the text amendment to expand the downtown code, in this case, the Van Buren character area. Item 97 is the related zoning case that puts it on the property.
Okay, can we do one public hearing, or do we have to have multiple public hearings? Okay. So we're going to do a staff report on both. We'll hold a public hearing on both. We'll have to have separate votes on 96 and 97.
That's correct, Mayor.
Mayor, members of council, this proposed text amendment expands the Van Buren character area to go west of 7th Avenue, and it will include a historic church that is proposed to be used as a cultural arts event center. Next slide shows the Central City Village Planning Committee voted to approve this request 14-0. The Planning Commission also voted to approve it by an 8-0 request. This just expands it so that a special event center can be put in place there. The next slide going on to the area, this shows the overall area. So this is item 97 is the actual zoning case to apply that expanded area. So the red area is the proposed event center. The downtown code today extends to just the properties next door that abut 7th Avenue, and so this extends it over to the adjoining properties. There was no opposition to this request at the Village Planning Committee. It was approved 14-0 for this rezoning, the same as the Planning Commission, and with that, we're happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you very much. As before, we'll now open the public hearing, see what public comment there might be, and then council members can ask any questions during their portion of the hearing. We're going to now open the public hearing on item number 96.
And 97, Mayor?
And 97, excuse me, correct, I apologize. 96 and 97 is now, is the time for public comment on those items. We have two cards. Mr. Taylor Earl is in favor if needed. You want to take your time?
Yes,
Go right
Mayor.
ahead, please.
So my name is Taylor Earl, address 3101 North Central Avenue, Suite 1000. I do represent the property owners on this project, so we do have a presentation that they will hopefully pull up. Great, thank you so much. So as Director Stevenson said, this is the property southwest corner of 9th Avenue and Woodland. It's this historic church. It's kind of an eclectic area. It comes off of Van Buren. There's a lot of commercial uses off of Van Buren. We have a very tall parking structure right immediately to our east. So that's just kind of the setting in which it's a beautiful, beautiful property. And this is a site that if you know Charlie Levy, who has done projects like the Crescent Ballroom and other things downtown, is really a visionary and really Van Buren in particular. And I will just tell a quick anecdote. When I was in front of the Legislative Mall Commission on this case, I mentioned my client in vague terms. And the late Don Kuth said, let's call it who it is. This is Charlie Levy, one of the unsung heroes of downtown. I treasure that in particular now, and said that I agree. So the history on this is that this is just another view off of 9th Avenue. I'm going to show you some pictures of the inside as well. So originally, one of Charlie's associates contacted him and said, there's this great property downtown, you need to come see it. Originally, Mr. Levy, Charlie, wasn't really that interested, but when he came to it, he said, well, how can we not do this? How can we not preserve this church? And so what you see here is largely how it will remain. The pews will remain, the chandeliers, the woodwork, the carpet will be replaced, but even up to the window panes, there's a couple of window panes that will need to be replaced, but we have found the original company who did the window panes years and years and years ago and are able to get those replaced to their historic quality. So a lot of finesse is going into this. This is not a big money-making project. It is really a labor of love. A love for Charlie and for his associate to do something that's good for the community. We have had tremendous positive support from the community. I understand there's a gentleman here in opposition. I've had a chance to just meet him today, and I certainly respect him, but we have had overwhelming support from the community for this project. This is another view if you were standing on the stage looking back. And then I'm going to show you a view just to get the orientation if I were standing in this location here looking this direction, the next shot. We'll show that. There it goes. So this is sort of an extra section of the building, has a nice stage here. We'll clean it up a little bit, kind of get rid of this type of signage. We'll be opening up this location here. There'll be the opportunity. So it's going to be an arts center, just to give you a sense of the types of things that we think will end up there. Theater, visual arts, dance, music, film, some older films or independent films, foreign films, and really the spoken word. The bottom line is that as we work with the community, we will adapt to the things that they want to see here, the things that are popular, the things that do well, then that's the things that we'll focus on. But Some of the neighborhood leaders are very excited that somebody is coming in and, one, preserving the church, and doing something that really ties to the community. I will say that on the church, on the preservation of the church, a demolition permit was pulled for this prior to our clients being involved back in May of 2015, I believe. And so that 1-year stay period ran, and when we came into it, that in that sense, the property was threatened. And so we were able to come in and say, we have zero plans to pull this down. We want to use it. These are some of the groups that we've had preliminary conversations with, and have expressed interest that they would like to do things. The Rising Youth Theater is a group that tells stories of youth and their experiences and their stories. And other groups that the council may be familiar with has seen in the downtown area. I just want to point out a little bit of some of the growth that's happening on Van Buren. This from an interview that was done with members of the city staff. The Van Buren actually is kind of lagging behind in the downtown redevelopment. Van Buren is a central spine that connects the east portions of Phoenix to the west portions. And then this is a statement from Christine Mackey. As a whole, with all of these changes, Mackey said Van Buren will look very different 5 years from now. And so what we're hoping to do is really reactivate Van Buren, pull it a little bit further west. There's some areas, some great opportunities and great potential, but we're getting a lot of activity on Central Avenue. We hope to be able to bring it a little further to the west and really reinvest in this area. I put this slide in there just as a preaching to the choir, but a lot of downtown housing has come through, a lot of those units, and when we bring people to downtown, we get the sort of unit count. We also need to provide things for those people to do, cultural opportunities, things that they can walk to, can ride the light rail to, in order to keep them in the downtown area. And so this is one of those opportunities, something that's not a straight music venue, it's not a Crescent Ballroom. We will be able to have some music there, but really more of a variety of a cultural center. This is just some of the details on the zoning that is being proposed with the text amendment. Here's the site plan. I mean, essentially, at the end of the day, we're keeping the structure, and we're just doing some slight changes, really just kind of cleaning it up, maybe change the fence, strengthen it, keep the existing parking lot. So we're really doing our efforts to preserve the integrity of the church. And let me just end with this. This is the Google Street View from August 2016. Here's a young man taking a picture of the church with his phone. I think that's pretty cool. This is a young man who recognizes that, hey, that's pretty cool. I like that church. Pulls out his phone, takes a picture. I thought that was pretty neat when I just kind of stumbled across that. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
All right, any questions for Taylor Earl? Mr. Waring, Councilman Waring.
Just one question. If I had to sum this up, it sounds like it's a minor zoning change for basically one property to expand the number of uses.
Correct.
By one. I mean, that's
Correct.
really what this is. It sounds fancy on paper, but that's what it is.
Correct. So when we originally came to staff, we said, this is what we want to do. We want to do an art center. What's the best way to do that? And as we worked with staff, we felt that simply having the downtown code come one across 9th Avenue in order to allow really the general assembly use was what we were really after. And so effectively the answer is yes, this is an opportunity to rezone using the existing downtown code as it was right next to it already.
All right, and just so you know, it's not that unusual. I saw 3 people take pictures of Councilman Nowakowski just as we walked over here before the meeting, so.
Any other questions for Mr. Earl? All right, next speaker will be Dwayne Reichest. I apologize. Good to see you.
Good evening, Mayor Stanton, Council. My name is Dwayne Reichert. A couple years ago, I died at Scottsdale Osborne of congestive heart failure. Currently, I look fine to everybody, but medically, my heart is making medical history because it's working at less than 10% right now. During my event that took place on June 12th, 13th, 2014, God directed me down to that church to build partnerships with such places as Church on the Street, Grand Canyon University, to make that a special resource hub which would be near and dear to Councilman Nowakowski's heart, to establish a bridge to freedom for people getting out of prison. That would there would be a safety net there where they would be able to get resources, to get re-educated, so that their families wouldn't be left in the lurch. There would be a food bank set up with Burning Bush Ministries. Quite frankly, Mr. Levy and his people can say whatever they want as far as they'll have these cultural places, and bottom line, the way they make money is they sell booze and they sell music. I don't care how they want to whitewash it. They can come in and a special event, ballet. People will have an event for a week or a weekend, but bottom line, you have from the time they open up their doors to the time they close their doors, they're selling booze. And in that neighborhood, I've been a cab driver in this town for since before the freeways. If anybody ever listened to J.D. Hayworth, you heard Dwayne the cab driver on his show. And people that go to the Crescent Ballroom, they get all jacked up, and what do? They go look for people to have sex with. They don't care that these people are homeless. The homeless people don't care because they're going to get money. Okay? It'll create a environment that doesn't need to be expanded any more than what it is, especially with the upcoming university school system down there. Something as Crystal Ballroom 3, anything that's going to be selling alcohol wouldn't be good for the children that are down there trying to get an education. It wouldn't be a viable. It would be sacrilege against a church. Number one, I don't care about how people feel about religion or what. I respect whatever person's belief in God as they see it is. But I believe that they're whitewashing it. They want to get in there. They want the, down the road. Of course, they're going to be right back here to get a liquor permit, and that's what they want to do. That's the bottom line.
Thank you very much.
And that's the big rush. Myself, I have people from Dream City Church, Phoenix First Assembly, the Dream Center, Church on the Street, Pastor Walt, who I'm sure most people are familiar with. Near and dear to my heart is getting the Bridge to Freedom open, which is the resource center for people getting out of prison, so that we don't have the shootings like there have been, so that the people that are getting out of prison, which I've worked with for over 30 years, some guys think that they'll never ever get ahead.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We went over a little bit of time. I gave a little extra time because Mr. Earl got a little over time.
Respectively,
Thank you very much.
I hope you deny the use permit.
Thank you so much. Mr. Dibler?
Hello, hi, I'm James Dibler. The city of Phoenix did do an excellent job on preserving old buildings for future generation. This church is an example on the city working with developers on saving buildings so future generations can visit them. I like the idea on converting this church into a woodland arts center because it will bring new visitors to downtown Phoenix. I support this project. Thanks for the time and consideration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dibler. Okay, so I have no other cards for this public hearing on item 96 or 97. I'll look to the audience. Anyone here to provide testimony on those items? Going once, going twice. Public hearing on 96 and 97 are now closed. We'll have to take these items individually. Councilman Nowakowski, did you have a motion on item number 96?
Mayor, motion to approve item number 96. I'd like to explain why I'm approving this. Is that basically the reuse of a church. Back in 2015, we had a demolition permit ready to knock down the church, and the community came together, and we were able to talk that individual out of knocking down the church. And then we got together with a group of individuals, Charlie, Pat Cantelmi, and Sherry, that's really working hard to revitalize and keeping the historic buildings down in West Van Buren. And this is one of those sites that we asked them to really look into in preserving the church, and basically not just turning it into the other buildings that he has, but also reaching out to the community to find out what their needs are. And the needs were really having some type of a place where young people could come together, a theater, also our university students that they can come down and express themselves. And that's exactly what this is. So with that, I'm approved. I think it's a great project. They reached out to the community. His project on 2nd Avenue and Van Buren is great. The future project that he has being built right now on 5th Avenue and Van Buren is also going to be just revitalizing that whole area. And now with this 9th Avenue and reaching out to the community and finding out what the needs are and preserving a church that would have been torn down. And I just really want to thank Charlie and all those individuals that are really preserving the historic buildings and the history of Phoenix and the downtown area. So that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, so the project is for young people and the young at heart. All right, so the motion is in favor of staff recommendation based upon the Planning Commission approval, January 15, 2017, and adopt a related ordinance. Is there a second on that motion? Second. Second on that motion.
Mayor, I have a
Councilwoman Williams, please.
It's for Ellen. On the stipulations, stipulation number 1, the property owner shall record documents that disclose the existence and operational characteristics of Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport to future owners or tenants of the property. What does that mean?
Mayor, Councilwoman Williams, as part of our interdepartmental review process, all the zoning cases that come throughout the city get routed to the aviation department. They review each of those, and then they provide back a stipulation to us if warranted that requires us to put that stipulation on there. What that stipulation does is require the current owner to notify any future owners that this is an airport overflight area, planes fly overhead, essentially make them aware of it in case they do complain in the future about aircraft overflights.
Okay, so it's just the overflow. It's not pertaining to if anybody in the future would try to reconstruct something on the property, raise the heights or whatever. Would that be included?
Correct, Mayor, Councilwoman Williams, the height limits are controlled by the downtown code district. It doesn't impact any of the airport height limits or any of those things. So it's still much more restrictive than anything that would really impact Sky Harbor. It's just about making sure that we're able to trace back to people that they should be aware that they bought into something that had planes flying overhead as opposed to complaining about planes that now are flying over their property. It's a known condition.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions about the item 96 is which one we're on?
Mayor, I would say I think it is a great project to save that church. It will become a real community asset, and rather than see it slowly deteriorate, I love seeing the reuse, so good job.
That's awesome. Any other comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Nowakowski.
Yes.
Pastor.
Yes.
Stark. Valenzuela. Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, the item passes unanimously. Do we have a motion on 97? Councilman Nowakowski.
Motion to approve staff's recommendation on 97. And adopt the related ordinance.
The motion is to approve staff recommendation and adopt the related ordinance. There is a second. Any other additional comments? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Nowakowski. Pastor.
Yes.
Stark. Valenzuela.
Yes.
Waring. Williams.
Yes.
Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes unanimously. 98, self-service storage warehouse text amendment. Mr. Stevenson, is there a short staff report?
Mayor, members of council, item 98 is a text amendment to our self-storage warehouse district. There are two components to it. One is to remove the requirement for a 24-hour night watchman to go to an electronic camera and keyless entry system, which is how most of the new facilities are going. The other part of the text amendment is to increase the height permitted from 24 feet to 30 feet. That 30 feet is consistent with all the other C2 zoning district height limits throughout the city. So the 24 feet is something that was only unique to the mini storage facilities. This request was approved by numerous village planning committees, as well as the Planning Commission, and the Downtown Aviation Economy and Innovation Subcommittee approved it by a 4-0 vote. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, now we'll open up the public hearing on item number 98. Public hearing is now open. Are there any cards? Any member of the public here to provide testimony on item number 98? Going once, going twice. The public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion, Vice Mayor, on item number 98?
Move approval based on the Planning Commission's approval on January 5th, 2017, and adopt the related ordinance.
Motion and a second. Any comments by members of this council? Roll call.
DeCiccio.
Yes.
Noakowski. Pastor. Stark. Valenzuela. Waring. Williams. Gallego.
Yes.
Mayor Stanton.
Yes, that item passes unanimously. There are no other cards for citizen comment. Our business being done here today. Oh, yeah, it was mismarked. It had to. Our meeting is now adjourned.